right, everybody, good morning. How's everybody doing this morning? Good? Okay, good. It's a little low energy, but we'll take what we can get. All right, well, good morning. First of all, for our folks with the mailbox in the back, is audio okay for you? Awesome. All right, good morning. My name is Alexi Worley. I am with the Secret Service's Office of Communications and Media Relations. While you should not need to quote me, I will spell my name because I know you will ask. It's A-L-E-X-I. Last name is W-O-R-L-E-Y. Very happy to have you all here today. Ensuring that information regarding the security plan for the 2024 Republican National Convention gets out to the public is vital. It'll help reduce impacts to the city and just ensure an easier, safer convention. We're looking to those of you here today as our partners to help distribute that information as widely as possible. And our goal today is to provide you with as much information as quickly and as accurately as possible as well. So following this press conference, if you do not get your question answered, because we do have a hard stop at 10 a.m., any media questions related to RNC security can go to rnc.media, so M-E-D-I-A, at USSS.DHS.gov. And then many of you have my direct email as well. You're welcome to use that too. And because a few of you already asked, we will be sending out a press release following the conclusion of this press conference, as well as JPEGs of the security maps that are released today. Also, following the release of this press conference, the City of Milwaukee will be posting updated frequently asked questions on their website, covering pretty much any question that could be asked related to RNC security. So we'll be directing you to that link at the end of this event today as well. Before we bring in the speakers for today, I'd like to go over a few ground rules as well as the agenda and go over who will be speaking as well. So we'll kick today's event off with opening remarks from the Director of the Secret Service, Kimberly Cheadle. Spelling is Kimberly-Cheatle. We'll then move into remarks from Milwaukee Chief of Police, Jeffrey Norman, Jeffrey-Norman. Then we'll have Secret Service RNC Coordinator, Audrey Gibson-Ticino, brief on the public security map. She will go through the map pretty comprehensively, different checkpoints, markings. Her name is spelled A-U-D-R-E-Y, last name Gibson-Ciccino. And then finally, Nick Desiato, Chief of Staff for the Mayor of Milwaukee, Cavalier Johnson, will brief on the city's demonstration zones. His spelling, N-I-C-K, last name D-E-S-I-A-T-O. If you have any questions about spellings after this, please feel free to email that email address. We're happy to help you out. Following Nick's remarks, we'll then move into a brief question and answer period. Again, we do have a hard stop at 10 a.m. in order to accommodate the schedules of our speakers, so please keep questions on topic. If you do go off topic, we just don't have time to address those today. If you do have a question off topic, no big deal. We have public affairs officers from the speakers represented in this room. Also, go ahead and reach out to their normal public affairs lines. We do ask that you wait to be called on, and each question will get one question and a follow-up. If you are called on, please state your name and outlet before asking your question. And then to reiterate, any media queries that don't get answered today, please go ahead and send them to rnc.media@usss.dhs.gov. And again, that email address will be on the press release as well. Finally, after the Q&A period wraps, we do ask that you just hold in your seats for a second, let the speakers exit the room, and then we'll work to get you guys out as well. All right, with that, we'll go ahead and bring our speakers in.
Good morning. I'm Kim Cheadle, the Director of the Secret Service, and we are here today to release the public impact map for the 2024 Republican National Convention, which will take place here in Milwaukee from July 15th until the 18th. I'd like to thank everyone who had a hand in crafting these maps and contributing to the operational security plan. Several of the partners are here today, including the Milwaukee Police Department, the Milwaukee Fire Department, the Milwaukee Health Department, Milwaukee County Office of Emergency Management, the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Department, the FBI, FEMA, and the Office of the Mayor, Cavalier Johnson. The Secret Service cannot operate without the support of these other local, state, and our federal partners. These partnerships extend well beyond the RNC, as many of these same agencies play a pivotal role in our investigative and protective mission. The RNC is a National Special Security Event, or an NSSE, which is a title designated by the Department of Homeland Security for events that rise to the highest level of national intelligence or national or international significance. NSSEs are some of the most high-profile events in the world, and they require extensive collaboration and cooperation with our local, state, and federal partners, and the RNC is no exception. Together, this team has been preparing for the convention for over a year. They have been thoughtful about community impact, traffic concerns, businesses, and most importantly, ensuring a safe and secure convention for attendees and the City of Milwaukee. High-profile events are no stranger to the City of Milwaukee. I am proud that several of the agencies we've worked with over the past year include partners established during the 2020 DNC and over the years supporting protective visits and working on joint investigations. Of course, one of our more notable partners is Chief Norman of the Milwaukee PD. The Chief and the Police Department are among the Executive Steering Committee members who created the wide-ranging security plan for the 2024 RNC. All in all, 15 public safety entities contributed to the security plan for the convention. The development of the plan included coordinating intelligence, consequence management, maritime security, airspace security, traffic control, and more. The RNC plan has also been tested and reinforced through 7 interagency exercises over the past 4 months, including tabletop and field training operations, which allow our law enforcement partners to test the security plans through numerous different scenarios. We've held outreach sessions with more than 1,100 law enforcement and public safety personnel, and we will host a final training exercise roughly a week before the official arrival of the first delegates. NSSEs are indeed unique, and resources from across federal government are available to support local assets. However, Milwaukee does have a long history of successful independent event planning, including the annual Summerfest celebration, the Harley-Davidson Homecoming Festival, and the 2021 Milwaukee Bucks Championship Parade. Previous experience and extensive preparation all contribute to a level of confidence ahead of this convention. We have been busy preparing for any possible scenario, including planned and pop-up demonstrations. And while recent concerns about demonstrations outside the RNC have been raised, I would like to reassure everyone that the Secret Service and our public safety partners respect every American's First Amendment right to express themselves. The Milwaukee PD and other law enforcement partners are well equipped to manage protests and ensure gatherings remain safe for all individuals involved. The shared goal is for everyone to be able to express their views lawfully while ensuring a secure environment for delegates, convention attendees, and the general public. We are also intentional about creating a plan that minimizes disruptions to the community as much as possible. We know that security for an event of this size will have an impact, and to that end, the Secret Service and our partners have conducted 41 outreach events with businesses, residents, and community groups. The objective is to effectively communicate our plan to mitigate confusion to the greatest extent possible. This effort began in November and has reached more than 1,700 members of the public. The cooperation, dedication, and genuine desire to ensure a safe and successful convention have been remarkable. Everyone remains dedicated to implementing a seamless security plan to create a safe environment. Again, I'd like to thank our partners for the work already done and the steadfast commitment to maintaining a secure environment for all involved once the RNC kicks off. Our primary focus is safety, and the people and the institutions of Milwaukee continue to impress. I would now like to introduce Milwaukee Chief Norman.
Thank you, Director Cheatham. The Milwaukee Police Department is pleased that the traffic plan and security map is being shared today with the community and will be impacted by the RNC. We're grateful for our federal, state, county, and local partners who are working tirelessly on these safety measures for the event. To our community watching this press conference, please share this information far and wide so that we ensure that all residents and visitors are aware of the affected areas and alternative traffic routes. And finally, I want to be very clear. We've been working hard to ensure safety for all of our residents in the areas of this city. The Milwaukee Police Department role during the RNC is to provide safety and to serve the entire city, not just the areas that are being presented to you today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chief. Good morning. My name is Audrey Gibson-Chiquino, and I am the Secret Services Coordinator for the 2024 Republican National Convention National Special Security Event. I want to echo Director Cheadle in thanking all of our federal, state, and local partners we have worked with over the past year. It's been a great privilege to work with such an exceptional and welcoming law enforcement and public safety community. The purpose of today's briefing is to provide an overview of the security measures that will be in place here in Milwaukee during the convention. I'll begin with an overview of the expected street impacts, then move into a brief review of the security impact map. Both the map and a detailed list of street impacts will be released following this press conference and available to the public on the city's website, which is city.milwaukee.gov/RNC. Street impacts. Temporary street closures will begin in downtown Milwaukee starting on July 11th on an intermittent basis. Official road closures will begin on July 14 and remain through approximately 1 a.m. on July 19th. Temporary street closures will begin near Henry Mayer Festival Park on an intermittent basis beginning July 11th. Official road closures will begin July 14 and remain in place until approximately 5 a.m. To midnight on July 14th. Prior to these security restrictions being in place, the public may notice security barrier and fencing being installed in these areas. Sidewalk and limited lane impacts may occur during this time to facilitate those installations. The public should also expect parking restrictions within these areas, which will be posted in advance. A complete list of street closures and parking restrictions will be available online, again at the city website at city.milwaukee.gov/RNC. I'll now move into a quick review of the security impact map. As a reminder, this map is also available to the public on the city's website. The area shaded in yellow on the map is the vehicle screening or outer perimeter. The vehicle screening perimeter is open to all pedestrians with no pedestrian screening or credential required. Vehicles may enter the vehicle screening perimeter, but they must do so through a vehicle screening checkpoint where vehicles will be briefly screened by law enforcement. Those checkpoints are marked with a black circle on the map. Please note that not all areas within the vehicle screening perimeter are accessible from every vehicle checkpoint. We recommend using the vehicle checkpoint closest to your destination. Bicycles are permitted to enter the vehicle screening perimeter and are not required to enter through a vehicle checkpoint. Rideshares, taxis, and hot food delivery will be available in the vehicle screening perimeter. Vehicles will just need to enter through a vehicle checkpoint. The red shaded area on the map is the pedestrian restricted or inner perimeter. Access to the pedestrian restricted perimeter is limited to credentialed and ticketed individuals, such as convention attendees and volunteers. Credentialed and ticketed individuals will need to enter through a pedestrian checkpoint and be screened prior to entry into that zone. Pedestrian checkpoints for delegates and those attending within the inner perimeter will be provided and distributed to those credentialed individuals. Pedestrian checkpoints will be ADA accessible. Personal vehicles will not be allowed to enter the pedestrian restricted perimeter. Bicycles, scooters, and golf carts will also not be permitted to enter into the pedestrian restricted perimeter. There is only one residential building, the 550 Ultra Loft condos, that will be directly impacted by the pedestrian restricted perimeter. Residents of this building will be able to access their home and parking stalls. Access instructions have been communicated directly with residents via building management, and detailed written instructions for these residents can be found on the city's website. Businesses within the pedestrian restricted perimeter will not be freely accessible to the general public. Instead, all businesses within the pedestrian restricted perimeter have been reserved for exclusive use by convention attendees and volunteers. Rideshares, taxis, and hot food delivery will not be permitted within the inner perimeter. Instead, individuals are asked to coordinate rideshare drop-off and hot food pickup at a location outside of the inner perimeter. Public transportation. Milwaukee County Transit System buses will operate during their normal hours of service. However, some routes will be impacted by the security restrictions in place. Riders are asked to expect delays and budget a little extra time for travel. The latest updates on MCTS impacts will be shared on the Milwaukee County Transit System's website at ridemcts.com. Deliveries. Trash service, mail, and package delivery will continue in both the inner and the vehicle screening perimeters. Those schedules will be shifted for services to take place overnight and in the early morning hours. All deliveries entering either Secret Service perimeter must go through the remote delivery site, which is located at 9th Street and St. Paul Avenue prior to delivery. The remote delivery site will be open beginning Saturday, July 13th at 8 p.m. and continue operations until the NSSE concludes, likely on Friday, July 19th around 1 a.m. Some delays could occur as a result of this additional screening. Maritime restrictions. Restrictions will be in place for maritime traffic on both the Milwaukee River and the waterways in the vicinity of Henry Mare Festival Park and Lake Shore Park. Areas affected by maritime restrictions are shaded by red stripes on the public security map, and additional information can be found via a QR code located on the city's website. Commercial and recreational vessel traffic will not be permitted on the Milwaukee River between Cherry Street and Michigan Street, beginning July 14 and running through the early morning hours of July 19. Road bridges in this area will remain in the down position. All vessels that are docked within this area may remain stationary during this time. Pedestrian screening is not required to access stationary boats within the maritime security zone. Similarly, privately owned vessels that fall within this area but are docked within the registered owner's place of domicile are permitted to transit the river so long as their vessel does not require the road bridges to be raised. Prior to departure from the dock and re-entry into the maritime zone, the private vessel owner must contact the Coast Guard to request an escort and be subject to screening prior to re-entry. Restrictions on the waterway near Henry Mare Festival Park will begin on July 13 and run through July 14. In closing, the goal of the Secret Service and our partners is to ensure a safe and secure environment while minimizing the impact to the public. We understand that security for an event of this size will have an impact on the city, and we appreciate the community's patience and understanding as we work to keep the convention attendees, volunteers, and the public safe during this event. In the event of an emergency, the Milwaukee County Office of Emergency Management wireless emergency alert system will be used to notify those in the area of a critical situation. You do not need to sign up for this service. All mobile devices in the designated area will receive the alerts. Our partners with the City of Milwaukee have put together a comprehensive website in an effort to address any and all questions about how the security plan might affect city residents and visitors. If you have any questions about the security plan, we ask that you please visit the website to review all the documents and maps that are released today. That website is city.milwaukee.gov/RNC. We will continue to update this website and the public with any potential changes to these security measures, and residents are encouraged to follow the City of Milwaukee on social media for the most up-to-date news. I would now like to introduce Nick Desiato, Chief of Staff for the Mayor of the City of Milwaukee, Cavalier Johnson.
Thank you, Audrey. I got Nick Desiato, Chief of Staff for Mayor Cavalier Johnson. Also, I serve as the co-chair for the city's Executive Steering Committee for the RNC. Before we get started, I wanted to express how excited we continue to be for the upcoming National Convention. We couldn't do that without our partners, in particular the United States Secret Service, our partners with the Police Department, Fire Department, Health Department here, FBI, FEMA, and really any number of city, county, state, and federal law enforcement, public safety partners. This has been a collaborative effort that's been going on for a very long time, and we're very excited to be approaching the event and be able to release this information today. I also want to thank the RNC itself, as well as the host committee, for the partnership and collaboration throughout this process. Before we get into the logistics of the demonstration, platforms, plural, and the parade route, I just want to remind everybody the City of Milwaukee is open for business. We have any number of food options, drink options, entertainment options that will continue to be open. And we hope that our visitors here, our residents, continue to take advantage of the opportunities, whether it be grabbing some food at Usinger's famous sausages, grabbing a beer and playing bags over at the 3rd Street Market, or going down to our #1 nationally ranked Milwaukee Public Market. We are ready to serve, and we are very excited for this opportunity. When it comes to planning our demonstration areas, we are governed by the Constitution. We also are bound by our contract with the framework agreement in signing on to the Republican National Convention. And it's also good government to allow for our individuals, whether the residents coming from out of town, to exercise their First Amendment rights. And in planning, we listened to our businesses. We listened to our residents. We listened to our planned demonstrators. We listened to the organizers from the RNC to get feedback. All the while, there is still no higher priority than public safety, which is clearly a theme from today. From day one, when we started our executive steering committee, we said our mission was very simple. It's to have a safe and successful event. Everybody in this room can have a different definition of what successful is, but I don't think we're going to have a lot of difference on what safety means. So we considered that all along for our safety for our convention goers, for the delegates, for those who intend to demonstrate, for our businesses, for employees, for our residents, and for everybody else who's going to be in Milwaukee in 23 days. With that being said, if we can turn to our maps. This was the cue to turn to the maps. So we have a south side location and a north side location. The south side location has both a speaker platform as well as the parade route. The central hub is the Zeidler Union Square Park, which is a county park, and I'd be remiss not to thank the county for their continued partnership in working with them and allowing us access to Zeidler Union Square. So that would be one of the 2 locations for public speaking. There have been almost 3 months now we've had open sign-ups. We have over 100 different individuals, organizations, or groups that have signed up to be participating in a speaker platform and or the parade. For the south route, as you can see from the map, it does loop around the south side of the perimeter that has been previously released. One thing to highlight is on the northwest corner of there, it does go up to where the fence line is for where the media filing center is. And again, we have our speakers platform as kind of the hub there where it would start and end for the parade route Zeidler Union. If we move over to the next slide, this is the north entry. And part of this was we had so much outreach and interest in signing up to be a speakers platform. We just didn't have enough hours in the day to have one speakers platform. So this location is at the corner of McKinley and MLK. There's another park there that's little known, Haymarket Square, and that's a right-of-way for the city. So it'll actually be set up a stage in the street at the corner there. Again, it's on the fence line, which is right by where the Pfizer Forum is on the north end. With that being said, I think we're opening up to questions. Thank you, everybody.
All right, so just as a reminder, let's keep questions on topic. One question and a follow-up, and leave with your name and outlet. We'll start right in the front here, sir.
Jason Calvi with Fox 6. I have a question about Pierre Marquette Park. The Republicans had complained it would put protesters too close to convention goers. Why did you include Pierre Marquette in the hard security perimeter?
So thank you for that question. The operational security plans for national special security events are developed and approved through an executive steering committee. The Law Enforcement and Public Safety Executive Steering Committee is made up of 16 organizations that have a significant footprint in the overall design and implementation of the operational security plan. So our security perimeters are based on public safety metrics, which includes protective intelligence, risk, and technical assessments. As the RNC has official convention events taking place within the Historical Society building, the Executive Steering Committee determined that that location would need to fall within the security perimeter in order to ensure the highest level of safety for the convention and the public.
So it's the use, because they're using the Historical Society for RNC events?
Correct.
Okay, can take another question? No, Whitney, right in the back.
Hey, I have a question for the Milwaukee Police Department. These, there's always the potential for dynamic protests. What is the realistic measure of success
So we have a number of different working relationships within our community to ensure that we are the last resort in regards to dealing with the expected First Amendment rights being expressed. I'm working with our faith-based partners, working with a number of those community organizations that are involved in the activities there. And so the measure of success that I look at is the level of collaboration. I want to point out that Sheriff Ball here, part of many law enforcement resources who are coming together to make sure that we're on one sheet of music and understanding that it's not that we're not going to have challenges, it's how we handle those challenges. The intent of our respective role is to really be invisible, that this is all about the RNC, the attendees, about our wonderful city, about the offerings that we have within our community. To have us as the first conversation, I don't feel that that's the appropriate way of looking at what this event represents. And so for us, we understand there's going to be challenges, but look at us how we handle it, being that, again, the expectations were the last resort, using our liaisons, using so many different community people to be that front-facing part. But we do understand that we do have a role. We expect that there is a First Amendment expression, not destruction, nor hurting anybody else in regards to keeping your hands to yourself. So the expectation is express yourself. This is what our Constitution is based on. But we will not tolerate anything beyond that particular type of activity because this is our city, and we're proud of it.
And just to follow up, what I'm hearing you saying is that there's quite a bit of planning going in, a lot of work with people on the front end to try to mitigate any potential disruption. But if a disruption does happen, and you look back at how you handle it, what will your measures of success be in the moments when you're actually handling potential civil disturbance?
So I will look at it from the standpoint that did we do it in the legal way? Did we do it in a manner that is expected for the rules of our engagement? Is it respecting what the Constitution expects of us? This is not going to be where we're going to look for trouble or instigate, but we are ready to respond. And that as long as we do it within the legal measures, the lawful measures, the rules of engagement, that is success.
Craig Wall, ABC 7 Chicago. Is there intelligence that indicates, first of all, how many protesters are expected to come into the RNC? And I don't know whether that's Secret Service or Chief, if you can address that.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mike Hensel. I'm the Special Agent in charge for the FBI for the state of Wisconsin. To address the question from at least the FBI's standpoint, along with our 56 field offices within the United States, our election crime coordinators, we've been monitoring intelligence, any intelligence related to the RNC, threats to the RNC, what that may look like both from leading up to and during the event. We do that both prior and in real time. We have no articulated threats, and we don't have specific information on what protests may look like at this point. But as the chief said, it's a First Amendment protected activity, and we expect there will be people exercising those rights, and we'll address that with our state and federal partners.
And if I could follow up just with the chief on this regard, there's been a lot of discussion in Chicago for the DNC about what the policy is going to be for mass arrests if things were to get out of hand down there. Do you have a plan for how to handle mass arrests if it comes to that, and what is that, sir?
So we do have a plan. I think that it's important to understand, this is more operational when we talk about what the actual plan is. But we do have a working partnership with the, Sheriff Department. We do have a working relationship with the county in regards to the CRC. I don't know the exact acronyms for that particular the CRC, but it's a housing for those who are being arrested. We do understand that there has the potential. Again, we're not walking into this with the expectation we're going to arrest. This is going to be the expectation that people understand what we want, First Amendment rights expressed, speak your mind. But again, there's not the tolerance for any particular type of beyond that. We do have rules of engagement in regards to that. There are certain prohibited items in regards to being in the outer perimeter, and that will be enforced. And so there's not a fear of having that particular type of outcome of the arrest. We do have a great working relationship, again, with our federal partners, our law enforcement partners, locally and statewide. But we also understand that our intention is that hopefully everyone understands the rules of engagement, meaning that you will express yourself and nothing further. But if that comes to that particular point, there will be consequences in regards to going beyond that, where we do have a mass arrest plan that will be in place for any particular those unfortunate circumstances that arise.
Here in the purple shirt.
Yeah, not sure who the best person to answer this question is, but I believe it was mentioned that restaurants within the pedestrian restricted area of the security zone would only be open to volunteers and members of the convention. So if they're dealing with a smaller pool of customers, are they going to be reimbursed by the convention? The overall question is, how is it being made sure that these businesses are still profitable during this convention?
Thank you for the question. So we at the Secret Service have worked diligently throughout this process to engage with the community. In fact, we have a subcommittee that is exclusively for outreach with the community. It's a non-operational subcommittee staffed by interagency personnel. So we've done extensive outreach with the community, as Director Cheadle mentioned in her remarks. So that included restaurants and businesses that elected to be within the inner perimeter. So that was by their choice, we will continue to work with them, and there will be up to the attendees, the guests, everyone attending there will be able to frequent those businesses.
Yeah, some businesses have suggested they will stay closed during the convention because they're worried about protests, they're worried about violence. What's your response to that?
We encourage everyone to stay open or have the posture that works, according to their needs for their business. So, we have a comprehensive security plan in place to address any and all security matters that could occur. So we're prepared to respond to any situation that arises.
Todd Richmond from the Associated Press for Nick from the mayor's office. The ACLU has filed their lawsuit. They want to be able to protest within sight of Fiserv. I'm not real familiar with this layout. Is the parade going to be within view of Fiserv, and is that second northern platform within view of Fiserv? And if not, on both of those questions, how is that going to please ACLU, and how are you going to resolve that lawsuit?
Yeah, so thank you for the question. We believe we provided premier access on both the south and on the north side. The south side parade route that extends through what is known as Velar Phillips Plaza, which will be opening in a couple weeks. I look forward to seeing you all there. And it's an opportunity for the parade route to go directly along the fence line, which is where the media filing center is at the Baird Center. You cannot get any closer to that. It is on the fence line. For the north side, which is sort of the other key feature, is the Pfizer Forum, where predominantly the delegates will be. So again, I would challenge anyone to find a place closer to there with sightlines directly looking at the Pfizer Forum. It's also where there is an egress for buses and where the bus depot is, of where delegates will be entering. So our responsibility is to create sight and sound options and create one that has not just the premier access but also security surrounding it. So there's an organized structure to that. There will be police that is aware of the parade routes and will be supporting that. We'll have parking restrictions that will be in support of that. So that was always been our responsibility from day one. Unfortunately, we weren't able to reach agreement on Monday, and that's okay. But our commitment remains to ensuring that the options that we present satisfy what those requirements are. Thank you.
Nick, actually, to follow up on that. So what is the plan if this group does try to march a route that is not the parade route that you have designated?
Yeah, thanks, Allison. That's currently part of the litigation, which I can't speak to. Right now, our priorities and concerns are to the designated areas that we are providing.
Renee from WISN in Milwaukee. Continuing with that, Nick.
I'm just going to stay here.
Yeah. So we watched it. Maybe the chief can jump in here too. But in Milwaukee, we had some very active protests during Dontre Hamilton and after George Floyd, where protesters, the police department was incredibly patient with them. They walked without permits in the streets. They shut down streets. I think maybe when they got to the freeway, things got different. But the police department was incredibly patient and even in some cases provided passage for the protesters. What will be different here?
So I'm not going to speak to the police other than to say that we have a world-class police department under Chief Norman. And so there has been extensive planning for a very long time of what the approach is. So I'm going to punt that over to him for that. As it relates specifically to our parade route, that was something that is done in coordination with the Milwaukee Police Department in defining access. As you can see, there's an ecosystem here. Is that you can't just say, here's a map, let's put a parade down there. We have to consider where there are egress options. We have to consider for emergency vehicle access. We have to consider for entry points for whether it be delegates, pedestrians, for checkpoints. So it's a complicated process in determining where these locations are, while simultaneously we're beholden to the Constitution or sight and sound requirements. So all of those factors together create a very complicated math problem in order to define where we can have this access for the designated parade route. I want to be crystal clear that the demonstration area in the city of Milwaukee is the city of Milwaukee. The Constitution does not fundamentally change because that there is a fence. And while there are different restrictions within that inner perimeter, the outer perimeter, still every individual has the same rights that they would have whether you're in this building, whether you're outside the fence, or whether you're in your living room. As it relates to questions for the approach, I'm going to hand that over to Chief Norman.
Good morning, Renee. So we'll continue on as business as usual in regards to having that patience. Understand that that's why we're having so many community conversations with the community in regards to these particular activities. Building liaisons, building other particular points of contact. Again, we're not trying to be the focus of this event. This is on the city. This is about the beauty about the city, not about in regards to trying to prohibit people's First Amendment rights. It wouldn't be a protest if it's following all the rules in regards to what it means to be able to get that particular type of attention. But we are going to try our best to have not only the patience but the communications, working with a lot of different local groups to say, who are your points of contact so we can talk and work this through. Obviously, there are going to be limits, especially when we talk about the inner perimeter. That is a fairly protected area, and we need to understand those rules of engagement is higher than just any municipality that will handle. That's more a federal concern. But we are going to work with the communication and try to have that, again, patience there in regards to approaching and dealing with this, working out with communications before anything else has to come into play.
And a quick follow-up to that, Chief, just in terms of if there is an arrest, it sounds like you would then, if they are breaking the law, because their rights to protest will change once they walk into a street that isn't a designated parade route that has been permitted. So arrests will happen, is I think what we're hearing here. How will you communicate with us then, too? You're going to communicate with protesters. I think sometimes we are confused in the field when we're trying to communicate with police. Will there be points of contact in those immediate situations for us to be able to report?
So, as you know how we work and operate, especially with my team, and especially my PO team, there's a collaboration of PO teams with the Secret Service being coordinated. It is essential that we do have the communication with our media, ensuring that there is that real time or close to real time. Obviously, it's fluid. There's a lot of moving parts to this, and I always sometimes say, don't blame it on our heart, it's our head in regards to that. There might be those type of challenges. But we really are and intentionally being communicative in regards to showcasing the expectations. Again, we're working and we have many, many meetings with many of the local activists, a lot of our community groups. We are here in a platform here to share in regards to expectations. I know there's a number of cameras and recordings around here. You are all our communication in regards to these expectations, and we will hope that you'll utilize these platforms to push out what are these particular requirements, but also that we are still having conversations. We're still working it through, as you heard already, that we're dealing with the litigation, so there's still going to be moving parts to this because we understand that there is a Constitution, there is rights and rules of engagement for our public that we need to respect.
In the back there, brown sweater dress, I think.
Miriam McCarran, Team J4 in Milwaukee, and this is also in regards to the demonstration. From my understanding, there are specific slot times for those who are registered to sign up. Can someone speak to what exactly the timing is for that? Is there going to be somebody at these demonstration zones who are monitoring those demonstrators? What will happen if they choose to stay longer than those slot times?
Yeah, thank you. Great question. So there are two different designated demonstration areas, as in the demonstration platform where you can speak at a microphone or the parade. Time slots are a little bit different. One is just the nature of a parade, right? You don't need an entire parade to yourself for an hour. So there'll be intervals of 20 minutes of when each of the different groups leaves. For the speakers' platforms, the north and the south option, it'll be in 30-minute increments of when they'll be scheduled. But it's effectively 20 minutes of your mic time, because it builds in 5 minutes beforehand to get off the stage, to get on the stage, and then 5 minutes afterwards for the next group to go on. So if you had, say, a 1 o'clock time slot, that means at 12:55 is when you get on the stage. You have till 1 to 1:20 to use the platform, and then at 1:20 till 1:25 to get off, allowing for the next group to get on so they can start on schedule at 1:30. In terms of for the mechanics of that, we will be providing, the City of Milwaukee will be providing the speaker system for that, and it will be operated with our Office of Community Wellness and Safety, which was previously known as Office of Violence Prevention in past years. So they'll be staffing the operations of that, and with a microphone, we'll be giving clear warnings of how much time you have, and we'll be doing the best we can to ensure that those microphones are functional during your time slot, because we have to respect the rights of the individuals after you to also be able to stay on schedule. Could things lead off, be a few minutes early or late? It's possible, right, like any major event. But with that being said, a lot of organization instruction to complying with that and to allow a fidelity to the process so everybody has the equal amount of access to express their First Amendment rights. Again, we have over 100 different individuals or organizations that have signed up. That is a large undertaking. There will be some follow-up information today with the individuals that had signed up, including what the actual maps are. And since we had not advised individuals where those locations would be, in particular there's two, we do want to give those who had signed up the opportunity to have preference. It's all on a first-come, first-served basis of when you signed up. If you have a preference on being the North Haymarket Square option or the Zeidler Union Square option. So you'll have a few days to get back to us as we try to manage expectations while also honoring that we want our demonstrators to be able to pick whatever their options are. And on top of it, we allow people to pick which their day preference is and whether it's the first half or the second half of the preference. We're really committed to allowing these demonstrators to exercise their First Amendment rights.
Just as a follow-up question, I know in the past, in regards to some of the rules and regulations for demonstrators, there was some discussion that there would be an individual at these platforms who could sort of censor some of what the demonstrators were saying if it was deemed to be not appropriate. Is that still the case, and who will be in charge of doing that?
We're governed by the Constitution. And so as long as you are exercising your First Amendment speech within the rights of the Constitution, we are agnostic to the content of what you're speaking about. Thank you.
Right in front here, checkered shirt.
Jeremy Janine for Urban Milwaukee. Question for Nick as well.
I knew it, Jeremy.
Layperson, it's obvious Haymarket Square, sight, sound, device, or forum.
Yeah.
Parade route, sight, sound to the grounds. How does Zeidler Union Square with buildings in between the security zone satisfy sight and sound?
Well, it's hard to just build a park out of nowhere. Well, that's part of the plan here. So when you look at the map, you have to identify where our obvious locations. You start from there, right? And then you bake it into what security plans are. For example, how does this impede vehicle traffic? How does it impede emergency traffic? We need ambulances. We need fire trucks. We need police squad cars for whether it be related to something inside the perimeter, whether it be residents, somebody just going to a bar, whether it be somebody who's demonstrating. So those are some of the factors we consider. From the south side, there's only so many county parks that are available, or parks in general. Zeidler happens to be the closest to the Baird Center, and so I want to be clear, that's why we have a location on the north side and the south side. Delegate north side, the Press Filing Center with the Baird Center on the south side, which is why the parade route goes up against the fence line. So to your point, we are building a Velar Phillips Plaza, but that's going to be, as you may have seen in the brief moments you had to look at the map now, and I'm sure everybody will be digesting it later, the fence line actually cuts south of where that park is. Otherwise, perhaps that would have been in play as an option. So we did our very best to make sure, thank you, where that blue line is on the top left side, that goes directly across from where the fence line is. You can't get any closer than that.
As a follow-up, what should people expect visually to change in the parks? There's security fencing on the demonstration zones?
No, we don't have any security fencing as it relates to the speakers' platform areas. In terms of the fencing for the inner perimeter, obviously that's where I'm going to have my friends in the Secret Service answer any of those questions. Got it? Thanks, Jeremy.
Right in the front, black and white shirt.
Hi, can somebody revisit
So the inner perimeter we will have a Secret Service prohibited items list provided to all ticketed and credentialed individuals. We will also have signage at all the access points with the list of prohibited items. So within the inner perimeter, there will be no weapons of any kind that are allowed, and they will be individuals have to go through a pedestrian screening checkpoint in order to enter.
Yeah, real simple. We are preempted by state law for any regulations that cannot be prohibited. So there is a statute, and this is me like threatening my own law license on giving bad legal advice. But so there's a dangerous weapons statute, and that's why I don't want to fumble this. But there is a specific statute as it relates to for firearms, and so that was one of the governing issues. This is something we've looked at other cities too. When we came up with the prohibited items list, it didn't come out of thin air. Of course, we consulted with our law enforcement partners. Of course, we consulted with the other entities, whether it be service or other federal partners. But we also looked at past cities, and this has been a recurring theme that we've seen in other cities as they've created their prohibited items list, is that understandably the presence of firearms around any kind of major event is going to make some people feel uncomfortable. We are, again, preempted in our local ordinance to have any prohibition as it relates to firearms. And so we went up to the line through whatever we can do within the state statute. Thanks.
So can you bring a gun into the outer perimeter?
We gotta give someone else a chance first.
You didn't answer it.
I can answer the question, is that we cannot prohibit the anything involving or change anything involving firearm law. So the same laws that apply for concealed carry or open carry that would apply for walking down Wisconsin Avenue apply within the outer perimeter. Again, that's because we cannot by ordinance make any difference in the change of law. So it's the same laws that apply. Nothing more, nothing less.
Right in the back, blue shirt. Oh, you're asking for her on the left? Okay, right there.
Thank you. Sabrina Franza from CBS Chicago. We've heard that Chicago Police is going to be receiving help from Milwaukee Police for the DNC. Is Chicago Police helping you out in any way, and if so, how?
So basically, this is a all hands on deck approach. Part of Major City Chiefs Association, part of the Wisconsin Chiefs of Police Association. We're all helping each other out. This is just part of the normal way of operating for large events like this. So, yes, we're helping them out. Superintendent, Larry Snelling is a brother from another mother, and so I will not be remiss to, if call for help is sent out, that we will, and we're very appreciative of the support coming from Chicago Police Department.
And in terms of protest applications, of the ones that were submitted, were there any denied, and do you know on the basis of why?
As of yesterday, which last time I checked, nobody has been denied. Thanks.
Right there in the shirt.
As far as numbers go, can you give us a breakdown of how many Secret Service agents, officers there will be, how many Milwaukee police, other police agencies, and will there be any type of military presence, National Guard coming in to assist?
Yeah, so out of operational security concerns, we do not provide numbers of law enforcement and public safety personnel that are staffing national special security events. But what I can tell you is this has been an extensive process, 18 months plus planning. As I mentioned earlier, we have 16 organizations that staff our executive steering committee and several dozen more that staff all of our subcommittees. So we have many subcommittees that have been charged with developing the operational security plans for their respective area of responsibility. Those plans will be have been presented to the executive steering committee as we move forward. We do have a partner with the Wisconsin National Guard.
This for Chief Norman. So because of state law not allowing any guns being prohibited in outer perimeter, can you just refresh our memories on what the rules and engagement are for police, for people that are, having either concealed carry or open carry in the area?
So this doesn't change just because we have the RNC here. We have the understanding and respect for those who are carrying concealed or carrying open carry. It's about behaviors. So understand that there is going to be that level of surveillance and monitoring. If that's the particular right that you like to express, just don't do anything that could be considered a threat or harm to the public. I know everybody keeps on asking me. Let me be clear. We will not tolerate any acts of violence, any destruction of property in our city. And when I say we, the residents of Milwaukee, the individuals who call this home. So it is important for those that we do understand this on a regular basis of your rights. This is not about trying to get into debates about, constitutional care and all. It's not about this. It's about behaviors. It's about understanding that there's rules of engagement for us. We are not new to this. This has been part of our fabric of our community for a while. Just don't do anything that would be considered a threat to our community. It will not be tolerated.
In the back there, blue striped shirt.
Do you have an estimate of how many groups have applied to demonstrate and how many demonstrators are expected during the RNC?
Yeah, it's tough to say what the total number will be. We were at, I believe, 103 applications yesterday. It'll close once we fill up all of our time slots, which is happening very soon, and still on a first-come, first-serve basis. The parade is a little easier to manage on the front end because it didn't really matter where the location is, so we can get that kind of teed up. But and then until we knew whether we were having one or two locations, it was really tough to understand how many openings we would have for the speakers platform. Obviously, with having a second location, which is really response to how many responses we've had for signups. With that being said, we don't ask how many people are part of your organization. We just ask what the organization is, if you're an organization. So it's really an impossible question to ask of how many total individuals will be participating. We also suspect that just like any national convention, there will be some ad hoc demonstrating. And if you're lawfully demonstrating on a sidewalk, you can lawfully demonstrate on a sidewalk. If you're lawfully demonstrating on public property, you can lawfully demonstrate on a public property. So at this point, it's difficult to anticipate what the total number will be. But that's why we have been doing the planning, not just from the law enforcement security side, but just from the operations side. It's a massive endeavor of having this many individuals with multiple locations. So we're hoping that we'll have a better idea of what the total registrations are over the next week or so, and then we'll be prepared to administer our responsibilities accordingly.
When does that application period end?
So it closes on June 30th or whenever we run out of spots, whatever comes first. So for the parade, we are quickly running out of time slots, and I suspect after doing any kind of press event, you're going to have increased interest, and we'll probably have a spike as a result of today, and then we'll just reevaluate how much available spots we have left.
Does the parade go every day? So it'll be.
Yep.
Can someone
Yep.
give a perspective from 2020? What does this security zone
Hey,
look
Craig,
like
let's hold on for
compared to
1 second.
2020? Has it changed? Is it the same?
So
Hold on for just 1 second.
to your question, by ordinance, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. is the time period for both the parade route as well as for the speakers platforms.
4 days.
Yep, all 4 days from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Thanks.
We're down to our last few minutes. We have time for one, maybe two more. So I'm going to grab people who have not gotten a question yet. Right in the back here.
Yeah, Jim from Wall Street Journal Security. Can someone tell us a little bit about the emergency alert system and the mobile devices during the event in case there's an emergency? How does that work?
Hello, Director Lebo from Milwaukee County, last name Libal. The WIA system is an alert system that we can set up a geographic footprint to send out messages as it pertains to any events that occur in the area. So we'll be working with our partners, as has been discussed. Any pertinent incidents that occur, we will put out that message and it will respond on your phone, similar to what you guys are familiar with, like an Amber Alert. It will alert to your phone and it'll give you instructions on what your next step should be.
And just a follow-up question on the venues, the Bard Center, the Panther Arena, and Fiserv. Does the website have the emergency evacuations in case of an emergency, how that is conveyed and where the mustering locations where people will go?
I can speak briefly about that. We do have some plans in place. We are working, and that communication will be happening with the individuals as they attend. But again, like many have said, there are works in progress of what those locations will be. Some of the information that is being released today will have an impact on that. So that is a work in progress.
Will that be conveyed on the website so we can go to the website to see that?
I'll loop up with you after this, sir. And we can-
Excuse me?
I'll loop up with you after this, sir.
Okay,
We've
thank
got
you.
time for one more.
I have one. I don't know if this question is better for maybe the director, for the SAIC, or the FBI. It was just a few days ago, we heard Steve Bannon use pretty violent rhetoric. He's a key figure. When we hear Steve Bannon say something like victory or death, how does that affect the threat landscape? Maybe the director or FBI, whoever feels more comfortable answering.
You know, at the Secret Service, we're always assessing risk. It's what we do every day. So we take, you know, comments that are made across the board into consideration and, you know, adjust our security posture as necessary. So I don't think that you'll see that it's had a great impact at this point. We're still continuing forward with the plans as we've designed them to date.
All right, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. If you can just hold in your seats for 1 minute for our speakers to exit. Thank you again for all. And then just as a reminder, if you have any follow-up questions, please go ahead and send that into that email. That's rnc.media@uss.dhs.gov. We will also be sending out the maps and the press release after this. Thank you so much.
Anybody want a hard copy of this demonstration?
Can you forward face the maps?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Give them 1 second to grab their phone.